Hey there, Mission Control. Thank you to everybody who's been following along all these years. I believe my first video went up in December of 2019, and here we are with 38,000 subscribers later. And I'm trying to get back in the saddle of doing normal updates. Of course, I've been working hard at Eden as we've taken the work that we've done on The Real Martian, which I'm going to talk to you about today, and we've moved it over into Eden Grow Systems, which is a company that I helped co-found and that we're doing a crowdfund right now. So you can go check that out by going to www.eatinggrowsystems.com/regcf. But in today's video, I want to make an announcement, and I'm making this announcement for the first time ever on Spotify, as well as I am happy to announce that, as you can probably guess, The Real Martian is starting a podcast. And I want to start taking all the things that I've learned here on this Real Martian journey and share them with you in a downloadable format that you can take with you on the go, that you can listen to while you're at work, while you're traveling. Oh man, I remember all those days I was in Los Angeles or Seattle or DC traffic, and just looking for something good to listen to was hard in those days. But now with Spotify, with other technologies, you can download podcasts and listen to them so much easier. So we're going to get that started. And today, what I want to talk to you about is the journey, right? Is what brought us to this point, and what do we talk about on The Real Martian, so you guys can describe if you want to sign up for The Real Martian podcast. So let's start at the beginning. A lot of people don't know who The Real Martian is, and that's me, if you haven't figured that out. My name is Jeff, and I'm an aerospace engineer by degree. I was in the Air Force. I served with a top secret SEI SITK clearance, so I got to see some pretty cool stuff on the space side of things. I helped develop some very expensive technology to go up into space and to help our warfighters. I deployed to Baghdad for 8 months with the 18th Airborne Corps and had an amazing time while I was there. But while I was over there, I heard the good Lord call me. I am a Christian, I'm a man of faith, and I don't believe that people have to go to church to be saved. I think there's the Little C Church, which is a small building, and then there's the Big C Church, which is the body of Christ. And I'm going to talk about that more in the future as well. But back to the story. I heard the good Lord call me and say, hey, I want you to go home. Now, you guys got to understand, when the Lord called me on this, that was kind of a problem for me, because the whole reason for me to be in the Air Force is because I wanted to be an astronaut. And I was on that journey, and I was doing all the right things, and I was getting the schools and getting everything checked off. Those that are in the military, or if you weren't in the military, then you probably don't know this. Everybody else in the military does. But there's always a progression in your career, and you got to check all these boxes to get to where you want to be. And I was doing that, and I was checking them off really, really well. And I love the Air Force, and I love serving in the Air Force, and I love the people there, and I love my deployment as well. It was super hard, but I heard him call me, and he says, "You need to go home." So I gave up all that, and I came home. And about that was like 6 months, 8 months maybe after I came home, my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and that really shook me because we were very close. And I went through that process with him, and luckily he was saved. So it was a very bright process, I guess you could say, rather than the darkness of death. For those that know, I think you probably understand what I'm saying. So that made me step back and really think about everything. And in doing that, I realized, I have all these things that he and I were talking about, sustainable living and all this. And I should do something about it, because at any moment I could die. And that was actually a big wake up for me. You think you're invincible up to a certain point, and then you realize, oh, wow, hey, this thing's terminal. We're all in terminal approach here. So through this process, I was thinking about, what do I do? How do I do things? And, I also got married during this time, not long after he had passed away. Luckily, he got to meet my wife, but just a few times. And as I was going through that journey, I was trying to figure out what God wanted me to do afterwards. And I was working for a Boeing subsidiary. I was doing good things. I was getting paid really, really well. And I was helping develop additional technology for unmanned aerial systems. And I just, one night I was praying, and I was, saying every night, my wife and I would say, Lord, please help those obtain food who do not have any. And as I was saying that, I heard him. I heard God say, "Why don't you do something about it?" And he says, "I've given you, a degree. I've given you education. I've given you training and skills and experiences and money. Why don't you go do something about it?" So I started asking my wife, I was like, do you believe what we believe as we look at things around us in the world and the Bible and end time stuff? And it's like, I think we should move out on this. I think this is real. I think this is God telling us to do something. So long story shorter, we actually do. We take a bunch of money that we had saved up and we build a Mars habitat. Essentially, is what we built: solar panels, wind, anaerobic digestion to recycle organics and make methane. We did rainbow trout in the ground, so we had protein, and then we had a whole bunch of aquaponic based growing where we're taking the fish waste and moving it up to the plants, and we did it, man. I mean, we were doing some really cool stuff, and that got me attention, as you might imagine. I know King 5 came, local news channel. I got a TEDx talk out of that. And then I met my now business partner when I got invited to the International Space Development Conference down in Los Angeles. And, I got up on the stage and I was giving my briefing, and then he always likes to joke, and then after he was sitting in the crowd and he's like, yeah, I've got my speech. I've been rehearsing it. Biggest speech I've ever had in a long time. And he's like, and this guy up in front of me is saying everything I was going to say. So that's kind of a funny little thing. He tells the story way better than I do. But we met in the bar afterwards. We hit it off. My wife was there. We're talking and we're like, hey, we should get together. I've got technology and business operations. He's got finance and marketing experience. Let's get together and merge these things. So, the only way that that was even possible that I would meet Bart is his name, is because of my former neighbor, who some of you might know, Cody, aka Wrangler Star, was my former neighbor. And while I was building this habitat, what we call the habitat, um, he came over and saw it. And he's like, dude, this is super cool. You're like the real Martian, right? And it just stuck, right? The title stuck. That was the name of the channel. And then he helped launch our YouTube channel, and the rest is history. So that's a very short version of kind of who I am, and what got us to this point. And then on The Real Martian, what I basically showed was, a whole bunch of, how to build this thing. And I tried, things like fiber optics and moving light. I tried different fans. I wrote different software and I shared all those things. And we got a lot of attention through that. And the channel was very successful. But success breeds change. And where we're at now is the success of The Real Martian and the efforts that we've done there have actually led to me joining Bart and co-founding Eat and Grow System. And ever since then, I've been spending most of my time at the desk again. I was so happy when I left my job and I was able to start doing design work, and I was having a bunch of fun. Everything was really, really great. And I still am having fun, but it's way different. It's been kind of in the slog because I've done the admin side of things. All I remember telling Bart and Leo, his dad, when I first met them, I'm like, the weakest point I have is finance, right? Let me tell you something. Never tell the Lord what or out loud what your weakest point is, because he'll get you to work on it. And sure enough, now I'm doing accounting and a whole bunch of other things, stuff that's just not really fun for YouTube, right? I mean, nobody really wants to watch you do the books. That's kind of boring. That's actually really boring. Sorry to the accountants out there, but you know what I'm saying. That's not really stuff that you put on TV to watch. You put something else on to watch. So because of that, my content on YouTube has really dropped off until just recently, where I've decided, hey, we're doing this crowdfund. I need to leverage the platform that God has given me. And I need to take this message out, what we're doing, ask people for help and ask them to join this mission where we're trying to provide sustainable food and energy independence to local communities around the world. And that mission has been with us for a long time. You can go back and look on The Real Martian and see that mission statement actually occurred. I think it was like this first or second year that we were going. That mission was there. And it's what we're trying to do. It's what we think God has called us to do. And we're asking for people to join us and share the message. And along the way, we're hoping that we can pass on some knowledge of things that we've learned. So on the Real Martian channel, some of the stuff that we spoke about is like homesteading, right? In addition to all the technology things that I was doing, we have animals, we have cows, we have chickens, we have horses, cats, dogs. Oh my goodness. We spoke about those things. We spoke about farming, building above bed grow beds and putting up fencing. Oh, I hate fencing. It is the bane, but good once you figure it out. We'll use woven fence from now on, everybody. Wink, wink. So We got all those things that we shared on there, building out a greenhouse and doing the back to Eden method in that greenhouse. Those are all things that we did and showed on the Real Martian channel. My wife also put up some stuff that we call the blossoming table, which is sharing her foodie stuff. She's a big foodie. She's amazing at cooking food, a little too amazing, my waistline would tell you. And but thank you, honey. I do think what you cook is amazing. And we put that up there, and we talked about food, and we started talking about sustainable food on the Real Martian as well. And we're going to talk about that more as we go forward. Of course, you can't have a YouTube channel without doing product reviews because one, it's cool to get cool free product as long as it's good product and be able to share that with people. Gotta admit, that's the reality of people doing product reviews. And two, you get stuff that actually does help you when you can reach out to people and be like, hey, I need this tool to do this thing. I'd love to show it on my channel. I got this many subscribers. I did those things as well. And I'm sure someday maybe we'll come back to that, but that's not the primary focus of what we're trying to do, but certainly it was part of it. So we've spoken about a whole bunch of different things, but one key thing that I forgot is my faith, and I have shared that on my channel. And oh my goodness, it's amazing when you see people drop off when you talk about your faith. It is like a bullet to the ground, man. You're just an inverted rocket, you might say. It's just like that thing just drops right down. But it's part of who I am. It's what I believe, and I think everybody should be getting on the Jesus train right now because let me tell you, the Bible is coming to life, and you could see it. It's just coming off the pages. So I encourage everybody, and I will continue to encourage, and I'm going to be using this podcast to share with people the gospel. That's probably the most important thing I will ever do in my entire life. So I'm excited to share that. As I mentioned earlier, success breeds change. Things have to change. Now, on the channel, I'm going to keep posting a whole bunch of different things. But as you guys know by now, I think everybody understands this thing called the algorithm, and that anybody who's on Spotify or on YouTube or Twitter, the algorithm gets you into a box. And then once you're in that box, if you do anything outside of that box, it's really, really hard for you to attract more attention and impact positively the lives of additional people. I'm going to try to put in place a theme that I believe best represents what the Real Martian is all about, what it has come to be all about, and what I think it should be all about as we go forward. I've received feedback from subscribers and supporters and family members and friends. Of course, just normal comments that you see as we go. Also, of course, I know the algorithm, it wants me just to do videos about how to, keep your shop clean. But the Real Martian is about way more than that. It started off about making a difference in the world using technology to help people. And that is what I want to do. I want to be able to help people. I want to take the things that God has blessed me with and be able to share them with other people through these different methods and different formats and get that information out and then get feedback. It's really cool when you're designing something, you get feedback from people. I intend to do some of those things, but when you're running a company, it's not like I can just go put our designs up on the web. My investors aren't going to be very happy about that, just giving stuff away. And I've got to make money. I mean, it's just the way the world works. So I got to deal with those things. So I've spent some time and I was thinking about the theme, and here is what I've seen in The Real Martian. And again, where I think we want to go. And the first theme is The Real Martian is about people who are on the outside, like if you're on Mars, looking in, like from Mars down to Earth. And I got to be honest, in today's world, I do kind of feel like a Martian because I feel different than this crazy extremism that's happened in today's world. I'm kind of the guy that's like, just leave me alone and let me do my life. Let me bring my family together and have friends and let's go out to dinner and live life and pray and share and give thanks to God. And in today's world, it's like there's these two really big, I guess we call them echo chambers, but I'll call it extremes, and normal dialogue has just gone away. And I want to bring that on this channel. I want to bring back normal dialogue. I want to be able to sit and talk to someone who I disagree with. I want them to be able to feel comfortable disagreeing with me. I don't feel any reason to call them a name, and they don't feel any reason to call me a name just because we disagree. I want to have normal dialogue again. And I got to be honest, that is an outsider position these days. Most people don't like that. They just want to hear what they want to hear. Interesting thing, the Bible said that's exactly what would happen. They would surround themselves by people who tell them what they want to hear, right? And that's what's happening. So on this channel, I want to be a place where we can come and discuss things. Another theme that I think really applies to the Real Martian and the focus that I'd like to give it is the Real Martian's about independence. When you go to Mars, when you go to another planet, well, actually, let's forget that. When you're an explorer, when you're a person who is out in front, when you're a trailblazer, a pathfinder, when you're up front, you have to be able to take care of yourself. That's the Real Martian. Independence, independent living, right? Being able to go out there and take on a challenge, even though you don't know what you're doing. Another key thing that I think is like, you don't have to be an expert to do things, right? You can just go do them. You're going to learn, you're going to fail, you're going to learn, you're going to fail, you're going to learn. And you're just going to keep doing that. You're going to keep going. And that is a huge thing that we've lost in today's world. And I think the Real Martian represents that. You know, you guys could go back and you can look at my videos and you could see, you know, all the things that I tried and failed on, tried and failed, tried and failed. And I don't know how many people came down on me like, you suck, you're a loser, you blow, you know, this is horrible, you suck, you're going to fail. But I didn't fail. And I'm here and I haven't failed yet. And the good Lord willing, I'm not going to fail. But the next time I do fail, I'm going to learn and I'm going to adapt and I'm going to keep moving forward. And that's what the Real Martian represents. So on this podcast, on the YouTube, when I'm sharing this and simulcasting it on Rumble as well, I want you all to know these are the topics that we're going to be talking about. These are the themes. This is going to be the focus of the channel going forward. We're going to be the outsiders looking in and bringing back normal dialogue. We're going to be the people who discuss things and share things that give you independence and freedom from a system that's trying to just crush you and make you fully dependent on it. We're going to talk about those things. We're going to talk about exploring. I've got some great books I've been audibling, not reading. I haven't had time to read, but I've been audibling. I want to share that information about exploring and getting out there on your own and doing things. I want to share that and I want to have a conversation about it. So on this podcast, we're going to talk about a bunch of different things. We're going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about faith. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about just normal everyday stuff. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about food independence. We're going to talk about eating grow systems because that's a big part of my life. But we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. So I hope you guys will join me. I hope you'll take this message, this special announcement that we're launching this podcast, and that you will join me. You'll subscribe, you'll go over, you'll join in, you'll share with everybody that this is going to be a place that people can come and talk again. And I think that'll be kind of unique on the web. So who knows, maybe someday I'll be able to get a guest, whatever, but we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to look at the news. We're going to see what's going on. We're going to talk about what's happening on a weekly, daily basis. I don't know. I'm going to figure it out as we go. But your feedback will help drive where the Real Martian podcast, where the Real Martian channel, the Real Martian social media, where it all goes. And I'm going to be here fighting the fight. I'm in this thing, and I'm hoping that you guys can see what we're doing here. I hope you can see the light of Christ coming through me, and that while I'm a sinful man, I am doing the best I can to try to make the world a better place. And if more people did that, the world would be a better place. So thank you so much for following along. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you get notified. And if you're on podcast, make sure you subscribe and share this message with others. Bring them over to the channel. Thanks, everybody. This is The Real Martian. Out.